What's up, guys? Well, we have found ourselves now in Elyria, Ohio, where the FBI's investigation has led to the indictment and arrest of a former Lorain County Corrections Officer, Brian Tellier, in July of 2025. I would like to note this incident with Jeffrey Fry took place in May of 2023, and as this video goes along, we'll see likely why it took so long for this to come to light. Also, I would like to note, while we're at it, like 85% of people that watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. Click the button and we'll move along. So, Lorain County Corrections Officer, they'll tell you allegedly paralyzed Jeffrey Fry. No, he was paralyzed, and we're going to see Jeffrey Fry. So, here we go.
19 investigates allegations of abuse by corrections officers at the Lorain County Jail.
Now, we've already reported several officers have been accused of mistreating inmates. Now,
yes, I'm almost sure I've done a video or two of this same jail.
Another officer has allegedly paralyzed a man. The FBI even opening its own investigation.
19 investigates Mike Mason exposing how this officer has close ties to the top official at the Lorain County Jail. A warning, some of these images are difficult to see.
The case you mentioned involves a Lorain corrections officer accused of slamming a man into a wall, partially paralyzing him. Public records show the officer was reprimanded for mistreating that inmate, but allowed to keep his job.
Allowed to keep his job. Wonder why.
Tonight, the injured man describes his emotional ordeal while his attorney plans to file a federal lawsuit. Jeffrey Fry says one quick move by...
Also, people are probably going to wonder, well, why is he there? Well, Jeffrey Fry, is here because he's homeless. However, he owed the court some money in fines, and he didn't have the money to pay them, so this one picks him up and brings him in, and it's just supposed to be in booking and whatever. And then this one just takes matters into his own hands and then says he was intoxicated. There was never any proof of this guy being intoxicated. And even if he was, we'll see where his injuries came from.
A Lorain County corrections officer changed his life forever.
Just too much to do to someone for nothing.
When it was over, Fry says he was bound to a wheelchair, barely able to move. It happened in May of last year. Video obtained from the Lorain County Sheriff's Office shows Corrections Officer Brian Tellier escorting Fry, then apparently slamming him into a wall head first. What do you remember next?
I remember waking up back in the search area, put up against the wall.
And then they drag him in. This one here is the one that's actually arrested him. He has seen what has happened, has noticed that he has no use of his legs and does nothing. Now what they'll say is, oh, well, people do that all the time. They act like they're hurt. They act like they can't get... No. The onus is on them to make sure that he is not hurt. Once you're in their custody, they are bound by law to protect you. Let me see how that goes every day.
Sitting with my neck down.
And then this one, supposed to be medical, did nothing about it either. And they are all named in the lawsuit. Even down to EMS that shows up, because they did a shit show job too.
Watch the video closely and you can see how the officer grabs Fry's left arm and slams him into the wall.
And this one's standing there like, how are we going to write this one up?
Meanwhile, an Elyria police officer stands by watching it happen. Video then shows Tellier try to pull Fry up, but he appears limp and unconscious. When another officer rushes in, they lay Fry face first on the floor.
Not how any of that is supposed to go. You're supposed to... C-spine. You're supposed to lay them face up, protect the neck. He can't move his legs. That should tell them, spinal injury somewhere. Keep that head and that neck stabilized. They don't care. They don't have any skin in the game.
He's then propped against the wall and eventually dragged inside with his feet dangling behind him.
Well, my hands and my arms were paralyzed, so they was just like Pinocchio with no strings. You know,
Couldn't move them?
No. I couldn't move nothing except my neck and my mouth.
Fry is leaned against the wall.
Now watch how EMS does no better of a job. Life care, imagine that.
Until EMS arrives about 20 minutes later.
And they just throw him around. Nobody's noticed anything.
Officers then toss Fry onto a cart. Video shows Tellier turning Fry onto his back and yanking him up. More than 30 minutes after being injured, Fry is finally taken to the hospital.
And you saw him get dragged like a rag doll and flipped around.
Attorney Nick DiCello represents Fry and plans to file a federal lawsuit against Tellier and the Lorain County Sheriff's Office.
Jeff's going to live with this for the rest of his life.
He's also going to live with some money because they're going after $40 million.
DiCello alleges that Tellier's actions left Fry paralyzed from the head down. The surgery to repair his broken neck has branded Fry with a long line of scars. Though he's regained much of his use, Fry says he'll always suffer lingering effects.
He's got neuropathic pain, which is consistent with people with spinal cord injury.
Yeah, I gotta keep my hands like this because when I straighten them out, they hyperextend and they go like this.
In Tellier's use of force report, he claimed that when Fry pulled away from him, he tried placing him against the wall. He says that's when Fry fell down due to his intoxication. Tellier's sergeant then approved the report, determining reasonable force was used.
Of course, they always do that. Did they forget the video cameras were running?
But records show when a lieutenant reviewed Tellier's report several days later, he discovered multiple inaccuracies. He determined Tellier hooked
You mean lies? That's lying on an official report. That's a charge.
Fry's left arm and propelled him towards the wall in a takedown maneuver. He found Tellier mistreated a prisoner and
They all did.
falsified the report. As a result, Tellier was given a written reprimand and is now restricted from having contact with inmates.
A written reprimand and restricted from having contact with inmates. He's a corrections officer. How does that work? Does he just stand outside and wash the cars? No, we all know they never wash them cars.
Court records show that 2 weeks later, the Lorain County prosecutor sent LCSO this subpoena demanding they submit all information about this incident to the FBI. Meanwhile, 19 Investigates has uncovered numerous cases where inmates allege they were also abused by corrections officers.
I do know there's a series of incidents that have occurred there that is troubling.
Last November, veteran officer Ruben Ortiz was fired after striking inmate Charles Koch more than a dozen times. Our investigation found Ortiz had been reprimanded several times in the past for mistreating inmates and falsifying reports. Ortiz is now facing criminal charges, and Koch's attorney plans to sue LCSO.
And I believe it establishes a clear pattern of conduct, not just with this officer, but perhaps beyond that, and the disciplinary sanctions that go into, an incident like this.
Franklin Ward's attorney also sued LCSO last November, alleging officers beat him for no reason.
I think there's an issue with the Lorain County Sheriff's Office as we
I think they're getting their training at Marcy in New York. I'm just throwing it out there.
stand here today. And that's based upon the numerous complaints, the numerous incident reports. That's for sure.
In both cases, officers reported the force used was reasonable and necessary.
Of
There's
course.
some serious matters going on at the jail right now that warrant full attention.
DiCello plans to file his lawsuit in the coming weeks. Meanwhile, the FBI is continuing its own investigation. We should tell you, the jail's director of corrections, James Gordon, is Tellier's father-in-law.
The jail administrator, Major James Gordon, is Brian Tellier's father-in-law. Of course he is. And he also, in a statement, said that Fry's injuries were not a result of the use of force. I'm just throwing that out there.
Sheriff Phil Stamiti declined to be interviewed for our report, but in a written statement he said his office investigates all complaints equally, whether they're filed against officers or inmates. In the newsroom, Mike Mason, 19 News.
Thank you, Mike. Is there more information? There always is.
Hey, good evening on this Friday night. I'm Damon Maloney.
And I'm Katie Houston. Thank you for being here with us. A Lorain County corrections officer facing a list of felony charges tonight, accused of breaking a man's neck and then lying about what happened.
News 5 investigator Scott Knoll first told you about this story nearly 2 years ago, and right now he is live in the newsroom to bring us the very latest.
Yeah, Damon, video shows that jailer Brian Tellier fling a man into a wall inside the county jail back in May 2023. Now here's that video. On it, Tellier is escorting Jeff Fry across the jail. Fry, who was handcuffed behind his back, appears to turn away from Tellier as the jailer walked him. That's when Tellier appeared to lower his body weight and toss Fry into that wall. His attorney says Fry suffered a broken neck and was partially paralyzed as a result. In a report to supervisors that eventually went to the jail administrator, who was also Tellier's father-in-law, Tellier wrote that Fry fell and that he guided him to the floor. But a lieutenant didn't buy it. He said Tellier used excessive force and that his report contained inaccuracies. But it took more than 2 years, a $40 million lawsuit filed by Fry, and a new sheriff taking office in Lorain County for this case to finally move forward.
Yes, the new sheriff showed up and said, no, this isn't working out. Call the FBI.
But today, Tellier was indicted. He faces felonious assault, tampering, and dereliction of duty charges. Tellier is also charged
Anything else?
with 2 counts of endangering children for a separate incident in Elyria last February. In that case, investigators say a 6-year-old who Tellier was caring for ate THC-infused gummies and had to be treated at the hospital.
Where did a 6-year-old get THC gummies from? He was in his corrections officer's care. I'm just saying, that whole house should be tossed.
As a result of the charges, Tellier was placed on unpaid leave today by the Lorain County Sheriff. He's free on $135,000 bond tonight. Live in the newsroom, I'm News 5 investigator Scott Knoll.
Thank you, Scott. Don't start playing again. So, here's a degenerate. Corrections officer turns himself in on felony charges in 2023 inmate assault and separate endangering case, updated July 19th, 2025. Lorain County Corrections Officer is on the other side of the bars after being charged with seriously injuring and nearly paralyzing a jail inmate in 2023, as well as endangering a child. Brian Tellier, 36, of South Abe Road in Elyria, is being held Friday in Erie County Jail in Sandusky on a $135,000 cash surety bond. The Lorain County Sheriff's Office announced Friday he surrendered to the Sheriff's Office for booking and processing. He is charged with 1 count of felonious assault, 2 counts of tampering with records, and 1 count of tampering with evidence, all felonies, and 1 count of dereliction of duty, a misdemeanor, and the alleged assault on jail inmate Jeff Fry on May 12, 2023. Now, what will likely happen is they'll take all these into account. They'll have him plead down, and the misdemeanor is the only thing that he'll be charged with. And they'll say, time served, you're good, go on. In the second case, Tellier is charged with 2 counts of endangering children. A minute ago, they only told you 1. This one says children. Children typically means more than 1. 1 felony and 1 misdemeanor after a child in his care ingested a THC gummy and had to be taken to a hospital for treatment. Both secret direct indictments were handed up Thursday in Lorain County Common Pleas Court. Neither case has been assigned to a judge as of yet. An internal investigation determined that Tellier allegedly violated Sheriff's Office policies, used excessive force, and falsified records relating to the incident. Those findings were forwarded to the Lorain County Prosecutor's Office for consideration of charges. We want to ensure our staff and inmates are held to the highest constitutional standards, which resulted in the investigation of Officer Tellier's actions while inmate Fry, Sheriff Jack Hall said in a news release. We feel we have conducted a thorough examination of the facts and presented a complete investigation to the grand jury. Yes. Now that the new sheriff's in town, Tellier has been moved from paid administrative leave to unpaid administrative leave and faces a pre-disciplinary hearing in August, according to the sheriff's office. I couldn't find anything about that. George Gherkin, an attorney with the Ohio Patrolmen's Benevolent Association, said in May that he was representing Tellier. On Friday, he said he had not spoken with Tellier since the charges were filed, so he could not speak on the case or whether he would represent Tellier. Said in May he was representing him, so what's changed? In the child endangerment case, Elyria Police Captain Bill Lance said Tellier was charged after a February 2026 incident where first responders were called to Tiny Town Child Care on Cleveland Street for reports of a 6-year-old boy in medical distress. The boy was taken to University Hospital Elyria Medical Center where he was tested positive for THC, the active ingredient marijuana. Police determined the child ingested THC gummy, Lance said. Where'd he get it from? And how they know it was a gummy. Tellier was placed on paid administrative leave from the jail in January, close to 2 years after the May 12, 2023 incident that left Fry with spinal injuries and lasting damage to his body. Arrested and taken to the jail by Elyria police, then 58-year-old Fry was allegedly intoxicated and agitated. He wasn't. He was booked, and Tellier was walking him to a body scanner when Fry allegedly pulled away from Tellier. He didn't, and we saw that too. Tellier claimed he guided, that's what they tell you to do. You guided them, you escorted them, whatever. When they wound up on the ground, that's where you escorted them. Because guided and escorted, that doesn't sound as bad as, yeah, I threw his ass to the ground. Tellier claimed he guided Fry to the floor. Though surveillance video of the incident shows otherwise. Fry appeared seriously injured, and further video allegedly showed care wasn't taken while loading him on the stretcher. Care was taken at no point. Fry was first placed face down and half on, half off the stretcher with his head, neck, and back immobilized. He was then lifted by the legs and arms, and Tellier flipped him over onto his back. Face down, off the stretcher, without exactly. Fry was taken University Hospital, Elyria Medical Center. A subsequent internal investigation determined Tellier violated official sheriff's office policies by falsifying his reports of the incident. The documents written by Officer Tellier don't accurately depict the use of force when compared to the video of the incident. Sheriff's Lieutenant Mike Crum wrote in that report in 2023, Tellier wasn't suspended at the time. He remained on duty for 600 days without restriction, but no contact with inmates until former Sheriff Phil Stamity left office in early January. When Hall took office in January, he suspended Tellier from duty and ordered another full investigation, alleging that Tellier shoved Fry headfirst into a wall and damaged his spinal cord. Fry's attorneys filed a multi-million-dollar federal lawsuit against Stamity, Tellier, Lorain County, the city of Elyria, Life Care, police and corrections officers, Life Care paramedics, and jail nurses. Yes, I'm throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. The case is pending U.S. District Court in Cleveland. Brian Tellier is married to Megan Tellier, a Lorain County Human Resources employee. His father-in-law is Sheriff's Major James Gordon, who oversees the office's Civil Court and Corrections Division. Imagine that. Anyway, that's where we're at with this one. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Also, again, 82% of people that watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. Click the button and we'll move along. Let me know what you think about this one, and I am out.